Today, the United States, together with our allies and partners, has reached a historic understanding with Iran, which, if fully implemented, will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Iran, as expected, claims America is lying. The critics are, as expected, out in force, claiming President Obama is leading us closer to a nuclear war by letting the government there get away with a nuclear sham. And a deal with plenty of holes has everyone wondering if this is indeed the best America can do in keeping down a leadership that seemingly wants to kill everybody who doesn't see the world as they do. The arena continues with the new lineup. First up, veteran criminal defense attorney, one of the top-rated barristers in Massachusetts, Geoffrey, and the senior correspondent in Washington for the Talk Radio News Service. He's in Washington, which means he survives the Beltway day in and day out, and for that we give him a tremendous amount of credit. Justin Duckham joins us. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Justin, I'm going to start with you, seeing as you're in Washington right now. Reaction to the president's deal, because if you read the different various reports, it says he did a great deal, he did a horrible deal, Congress will never pass it. What's the actual feeling there in Washington?
Well, this may surprise you, but we are getting sort of a reaction along partisan lines. We, of course, have the predictable parties saying, I know, right? Saying that this is either, Obama's gift to the world at large, or that he is leading us down to a scary nuclear war zone. But frankly, at the end of the day, this is something that's really pragmatic and doesn't really change a lot. We still have the idea of sanctions on the table if things go awry. We still have the possibility of military force. So right now it's really just sort of this hovering moment where we're trying to figure out what exactly the Senate's going to do and if this has any chance of moving forward. And that's going to be the next focus for the president. We're going to see him trying to pitch this to the American public, trying to pitch it to Congress. And I can imagine this is going to be a pretty big uphill battle.
Jeff, I would think with you as an attorney that you're always looking to make sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and there's still a tremendous amount of work that's got to be done here. And I think that has a lot of people asking, can we trust the president to really get the job done? And maybe is he too naive to cut a deal with a government that would really like to blow us out of the water?
I think you got to put something in writing, and he did have an attorney working for him. John Kerry executed an agreement in full force with the full thrust of every world powers behind him, and it's the best agreement for this country at this time because it's in writing. And these clowns will blow us up if they don't come to an agreement with us. That's the problem.
But why should we even for 1 second, Jeff, believe anything that is put in writing when it comes to the Iranian government? We have no reason to trust them.
Because we have the threat of overwhelming economic sanctions against them, which will cripple their economy and put them out of business. So someone over there has finally put on their thinking cap and come to an agreement to limit nuclear arms. There's nothing wrong with that. We have to do something, and we did.
So, Justin, let me then take it from that side. Really, let's be honest. The economic sanctions have taken quite a crippling effect on Iran over the years, and this is a country that needs to get out of that. They need to basically allow their people to live something even close to the 20th century at this point. So, wait a minute, maybe, possibly, could Iran really be preparing to join the rest of the civilized world?
Well, that's certainly the hope, and whether or not we're going to be able to meet their demands when it comes to sanctions remains to be seen. That's going to be the real difficult portion of this. But going back to what Jeff said, this is a situation where we now have verification with these deals. We are going to have inspectors on the ground, and even if they are blocked, we're still going to have people there who can sort of report on back. We have people who are going to be accessible to whistleblowers, quite likely, and that's a much better situation than we were in just a few
remember,
days ago.
though, when you talk about people who are checking in, a lot of that means we have to involve Russia and China, who have to be part of making sure this deal works. So now, wait a minute. Here, let me just check, Justin. We're counting on China, Russia, and Iran to tell us the truth.
Well, when you put it like that, you make it sound a little bit crazy. But no, I mean, this is a new situation. We are, certainly moving in a direction where if this goes forward, we're going to be in a situation where we will no longer be just a few months away from a potential nuclear war. We will have a full year. And considering how slow the U.S. moves forward when faced with these kind of crises, I'm happy for any time that we can get.
Geoffrey, do you trust your president to make the right deal here?
I trust the people that are working for him as they're schooled in national security issues. They report to the president, who has to make the final decision. and I believe we can trust the president in this matter.
All right, now we've got to trust Congress and see what happens next. All right, gentlemen, stand by just a couple of minutes. We're going to take a break and come back. And when we do, there's something else when it comes down to trust, because the Department of Homeland Security now says when it comes down to license plates, we're going to go right back to tracking your license plates. Boy, wait till Geoffrey Nathan gets a hold of this one, right? And also coming up a little bit later on, which still sits as the big social question of the day. America, do we really need to bring the X-Files back? That's all part of the arena. Geoffrey Nathan, Justin Duckham will rejoin us, and we continue right here on MidPoint. We got lots to cover. Let's get right back to it. Veteran Massachusetts criminal defense attorney Geoffrey Nathan joins us, and the senior Washington correspondent for the Talk Radio News Service, Justin Duckham. All right, I'll tell you what, let's get to the legal side of things here, Geoffrey, because this comes down from the Department of Homeland Security. They are now looking at bids from companies to provide law enforcement officials with access to a national license plate tracking system a year after they canceled a similar solicitation over privacy issues. Now, I said this before. As an attorney, I can see you just tuning up on this one. Hey, I'll tell you what, if it keeps us safe, what's wrong with it?
The fact is that license plates have been basically public information to at least to many sources and obviously to law enforcement. So this just takes it, one step further. And as a matter of fact, I'm kind of for it, because if it's going to secure the borders, people have to understand you're putting something that really belongs to the state registries of motor vehicles onto your car. You don't own your license plate, and nor do you really own the information associated with it. So if you're going to register a car, you're going to lose a little bit of privacy in the name of domestic national security. And as a consequence, I'm for it.
And Justin, I'll tell you, when it comes down to national security, you working in and around Washington, D.C., you could probably tell us some experience. There's probably not one move you make that is not recorded. Isn't it really for the betterment of society if you look at the fact that we are under attack from people who want to kill us quietly? It's called terrorism.
Well, of course, and that's always going to be the risk that we're going to have. This is a balance between privacy and public safety. But really, this isn't anything too shocking. I'm not an attorney, but I'm sure I can speak for Geoffrey here with the notion that if you're in a car, you are probably in the most public situation imaginable. You are driving on a public road, most likely, and it's kind of hard to imagine an expectation of privacy in that situation. And also, frankly, the Department of Homeland Security and a lot of local offices has already been moving forward with this. They've had a number of subscriptions with some private companies that have been collecting this data and have been using it. So it's kind of hard to put this in the same kind of NSA panic that we've had for quite a few other steps that the administration has taken.
Are we getting back down to that whole line that if you have nothing to hide, don't worry about it?
I mean, I think that's always a fun argument to poke holes in, but in this situation, it really doesn't seem like it's anything most people want to keep secret. We don't really have an expectation of privacy for the license plate numbers that we have. Those are, of course, shown to the public, and this is much different than the notion of reading Americans' emails and whatnot.
All right, real quick, here we go. The Boy Scouts New York chapter said Thursday that they've hired the nation's first openly gay Eagle Scout as a summer camp leader. This is a direct and public challenge to the National Scouting Organization's ban on openly gay adult members. Here was the announcement.
We don't ask for anyone's sexual orientation. That, as I said, is just not relevant to us, but we were aware that he's an openly gay young man, and that was not an issue for us. We consider applications on the merits, and the merits for this young man, like the many hundreds or even thousands of people who apply for jobs with the Boy Scouts here in New York, his merits were very, very high.
60 seconds before we take a break and come back again. Merits are very, very high. Justin, is this just a discussion that's just got to go away at this point, or do we need to keep fighting this?
Well, I think the timing for this announcement was aimed to try to generate a big discussion from that local Boy Scout group. We know, of course, that there has been a lot of attention on Indiana and the quote-unquote anti-gay law that was passed there, the religious freedom legislation. And this is a stark reminder that there is a nationally known organization that still prohibits gay men from serving as counselors. And so I think this is a very direct effort to try to bring this back into the forefront.
What's your take on it, Geoffrey?
Everyone has a right to work in this country as long as they keep it to themselves. If they're openly gay, that's disturbing to me personally. I think they ought to keep it to themselves, frankly.
Isn't it going to be kind of difficult, though, when you say openly gay versus keeping it to yourself, because people will be able to tell, and he may want to himself come out and say, I am openly gay? to be
Yeah,
proud
but it
of
has
it.
nothing to do with his job, of what he's doing for the Boy Scouts. He should just keep it to himself, and everyone will be fine. If that's the way they want to be, that's fine. But they ought to keep it to themselves.
Boy Scouts need maybe to just go ahead and drop this whole thing, you think, Jeff?
I think they're not serving the public interest to have to bring this issue to bear. They're not doing the right thing, in my opinion.
All right, let's go ahead. We'll take a break, come back on the other side, and when we do, how about somebody who is really breaking the law? We'll talk about somebody who maybe needs to, after plying and prying on people that love her, taking advantage of them, a little law needs to be in order here. The Arena continues. Let's get back to it. Welcome back, veteran Massachusetts criminal defense attorney Geoffrey Nathan, senior Washington correspondent for the Talk Radio News Service, Justin Duckham. All right, gentlemen, we got a few things to go ahead and clean up here. Let's get to this first of all, and Jeff, this comes to you because it has a legal bend to it. Here's a woman in Chula Vista, California, and we hear these stories quite a lot. She was accused of faking a cancer battle. Her friends shaved their heads. They got tattoos. They supported her. They raised tens of thousands of dollars for her. Turns out that she was all lying. She just basically took the $7,000 and walked away. There's another story in Florida about a woman who faked cancer, collect over $4,000 in donations. Can we just say that these people are stunningly despicable and need to go to jail without any consideration whatsoever to pass and go?
Whenever you have these public pools of money available, there's always going to be a fraudster try and cheat the system. We had that also with the Boston Marathon bombing. A woman from New York come in and said that she almost had her head blown off. She had traumatic brain injury, and in fact, she's just a con. So whenever the politicians set up these pools for people to, stick their hands out to and get a freebie, there's going to be people saying that they were injured, and in fact, they were not. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And yeah, eventually they're going to wind up in the can.
No, eventually nothing. I mean, let's go ahead and set them on a freight train right there, make them one shot here, because this is just ridiculous. But doesn't this say, Jeff, how gullible we are as a citizenry sometimes?
It says that our tax dollars may not be being wisely spent. That's what concerns me the most. But the reason the judges will throw the book at them really hard is because this oftentimes is taxpayer money that's financing these relief pools, and consequently, you'll see the jail sentences are really in the double digits when you go out and do stuff like this.
What do you think, Jeff? We got to find people like this and just really nail them legally, or do we just let them go and say, "Oh, gee, we're so sorry," and walk away?
Oh, no, they don't go, okay? They don't just get a pass.
No.
You don't get a free.
You don't get a free pass on that one. Justin, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's fraud, but I think basically this is a sign of a larger societal sickness. I'm a millennial, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here. I'm addicted to my phone. But we live in a world where a lot of people who are under 30 seek validation in really strange ways. One of those is by getting likes on Facebook or getting approval on Instagram. And I think that she was probably driven a lot more by ego than money in this situation. But she certainly did appear to commit fraud. I'm not an attorney, but I think it's pretty cut and dry in that matter. But I think we really just need to examine where exactly people are looking for approval and why there's this sort of need to feel like you're special.
Don't worry about the attorney, because that's why we have one on the other side. We make sure that we don't play one, but we get Jeff to give us all the hard stuff here. All right, I got about 90 seconds left here, guys. We're going to do a little social check here right now, or I guess, well, just pop culture, if you will. Geoffrey, did you ever watch The X-Files?
I did not. I have to say on that one, I don't know too much about it.
Okay, now, Justin, I mean, you are a millennial. Did you ever watch the show?
I mean, I'm chubby and I have glasses, so yeah, I love The X-Files. I mean, come on, that goes without saying. Look at me.
So then you did watch The X-Files. You did?
I most certainly did, yes.
Okay.
I spent many Sunday nights staying up late to watch that.
Then let me just say this. Have we not? There's an announcement being made that they're going to bring back the original cast here. They're going to try it one more time. Do we really need to revisit this, Justin? Hasn't Hollywood just run out of ideas at this point? Stop trying to go back and recapture.
Well, I'm a fan, so I'm going to make an exception for this. But overall, I think there really needs to be a sense to let sleeping dogs lie. There's, efforts right now to redo the show Coach. There's efforts right now to redo the show Full House, which is just a ridiculous premise on its face of it. And this is sort of just this need for nostalgia that really just refuses to let old TV shows die, even after they've passed their natural endpoint. If you remember the final season of The X-Files, it really wasn't that good. It was really starting to go downhill. And I think we're looking at this with rose-colored glasses.
No, it was absolutely terrible. Let's just go ahead and say that. By the way, Jeff, I only got 10 seconds left. Do you have a favorite in the Final Four this weekend?
And I also don't follow college basketball. I'm a hockey fan.
You don't.
What can I tell you?
Okay. Then wait a minute. That's good, Jeff. It's okay. Our Bruins have won 4 in a row. Everything is good. Okay.
Well, okay.
There you go. All right. As long as we leave it on that, Justin. I'm sorry we left you out of the hockey side of things, but I mean we'll see what happens on the X-Files as well. Jeffrey, Nathan, pleasure to have you on the show. Justin Duckham, a pleasure as well. Gentlemen, have a wonderful and a very nice holiday weekend. Thanks for joining us.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, third and final midpoint hour of the week is on deck. We're about to find out how good a salesman President Obama really is, and also if Kentucky is really unbeatable on the basketball court. That and so much more next on Midpoint.